Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne played a bit of harmonica, and I am currently trying to learn how to play. I just did not want to make a video yesterday when I found out the news. I was, in addition to being extremely busy, um, I just didn't want to get on here and be overly emotional, and I felt like I was being a little bit. I was not in a good state of mind to make a video, and I didn't want it to be just me crying or sobbing or freaking out about the situation. So I just wanted to do, and I don't do enough of these, just an unscripted video. I do have some notes on my phone, and I do have a playlist that we'll be talking about later in the video. But I just wanted to talk about Ozzy Osbourne and just be real and unscripted and just the thoughts that I have. I'll talk about my history with Ozzy Osbourne and things like that. It's made me, anytime this happens, when somebody passes away, you think about a lot of different things in a different way. And for me, like I started to think I was in the bathtub just a while ago. I'm still wet from the bath, and I was thinking about. At first, I had a negative spin on it. Like it's a shame that at the back to the beginning, it ended like they played the big hits. I was like, it's a shame that artists are kind of locked into that. But I've kind of had a reverse. I've kind of flipped it. Like it's made me feel better about artists. Like maybe artists aren't really trapped in playing those big hit songs. Maybe those hit songs, there's a reason that they're hits. And maybe it's just like the hipster in me or the hipster in all music fans that are not just casual fans, where we want to hear the deep cuts. But I think it's, he could have played anything at Back to the Beginning and people would have allowed it. He could have came out there in a cowboy hat and done country music songs. He could have went out there with Post Malone and did a bunch of pop country, and we would have let him. But I think he wanted to play those big hits, and I think that's okay. And you'll see that in especially my playlist that I made just because this happened. You'll see that I have the pop songs by Ozzy Osbourne. Those are the ones that I like. Okay, I love heavy metal. I love hard rock. I love soft rock. I love pop and country and rap. And so I know that for a lot of like Black Sabbath fans and Ozzy fans, I know for a fact they gravitate towards the heavier stuff. And they might kind of chuckle off stuff like Dreamer or even Mama, I'm Coming Home. But those, I couldn't even deny it when I was putting my playlist together. It was the hit singles, it was the power ballads, and I'm just being myself. I'm just being real. And again, I love the heavy stuff too. But this video, I think, is going to allow me to kind of be a little bit more real and raw than I usually am. And I try to be honest with you guys. But that was one thought that I had. Like playing the hits, I just did like a little mind illusions in the bathtub. And it's just crazy to see how big of a deal this is. Like I didn't hear anything about it at work today. There was a few people I felt like I could have went up to and talked to them about it, but nobody mentioned it at work today. I'm sure, but I have seen it on my personal Facebook, on YouTube, on the Google's Copilot. Seems a little distraught over there too. I'm in a relationship with Copilot. This is big news. With Tony Iommi, Ozzy basically created heavy metal. I mean, so I'm gonna like my history. I'm 39 years old. I was born in 1985, and that was my last point. Is people that don't like rock and roll, they know Ozzy, even if it's just from the TV show, right? Like that might be the only side of Ozzy that some people are familiar with. Oh, he's that guy from that TV show. And that's okay. That's okay if you're maybe you're just a fan of the TV show and you don't like rock and roll. That's okay. That's okay. But I'm seeing a lot of people on Facebook, older people, younger people, that are just devastated. Even people in my own family, just going back through the generations, like people that were teenagers back in the day, not allowed to listen to Ozzy, and then they snuck and listened to him, and it got them through a tough time. But my relationship with Ozzy and I've got I need to buy more of his. I've got this one, which I bought in 2003 when this came out, when I was a high schooler. I think that was my senior year of high school. I bought that. I had in 1996 is when I got into my own music. My parents still have really great music collection. Lots of different things playing in the house in the late 80s, early 90s. And while my parents didn't listen to Ozzy Osbourne or Black Sabbath a whole lot, I always knew who he was. Before I was obsessed with rock and roll, I knew who Ozzy Osbourne was as a little kid in the late 80s, early 90s. And then alternative rock happened. I was a middle schooler. You know how when you're 10 or 11 and you just grasp onto something? I discovered popular rock of 96, 97, 98. Oh, everything over here. Oh my God. 96, 97, 98. I loved every song on the radio. During that time I was listening to the pop station, B93.7. I was listening to the rock station, 93.3 The Planet. There used to be multiple rock stations. All the other ones have went kaplooey down the toilet. But I loved every single rock song, every pop song, every R&B and soul song, every song that was coming out in 96, all the way up through the years, even like 2003 when Essentials came out. It was just my period of discovery. I got into System of a Down, Slipknot when they became big, Drowning Pool. Those were I had heard other metal, but those like really were blowing my mind, and I had to go back, right? You hear the new band and you got to go back. You got to hear the history, their influences. And Ozzy Osbourne, I just knew it. I had to, I heard his hits on the radio. Let me see if I remember. I don't know if I remember my first Ozzy Osbourne song. I'm sure I probably heard Crazy Train as a little wee lad with hair on my head. But I'm trying to think if there's one that like I heard it on the radio and I was like, oh my gosh. I don't think I heard Paranoid until later. I didn't get, I just recently did the entire Black Sabbath catalog. So I was not as familiar with the Sabbath stuff. I'm getting into it now though. I'm trying to think, like Mama, I'm Coming Home, maybe No More Tears or Time After Time. Those were getting played on the radio back then in 96, 97. Perry Mason, I Just Want You, See You on the Other Side. Those were songs that I was hearing on the radio in the mid-90s through the 2000s, and after getting into System of a Down, like with Toxicity and Slipknot, and all those bands. Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness, and this is just a great collection. I know it's a little bit basic, but look at Ozzy. It's a 2-disc collection. This is probably gonna break, right? Yeah, all CD cases, CD jewel cases are meant to be broken, despite what Brendan Snyder may say. You don't have to take care of this stuff. I mean, you can bite the heads. I'll fix it later. But I got into Ozzy around high school, senior year. I got into that heavy metal in addition to punk and alternative. And same thing when I got obsessed with punk rock and alternative rock. My parents heard what I was listening to, and we thought that punk was like screaming obscenities and just horrible, horrible music. And these guys are singing and playing instruments, and they're writing smart lyrics. And same thing with metal. Me and my parents, we thought that Ozzy Osbourne was like blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't like that. It was something that my dad could like, my mom could like, I could like it. And I really appreciate my parents really like being involved in what I was listening to, even if they didn't like it. Me sharing Toxicity with them, sharing Ozzy Osbourne with them. I remember the Dreamer video directed by Rob Zombie. That was very interesting. And so my mom really liked Dreamer. I do remember that. She passed away many years ago. But so I kind of, got my parents listening to heavy metal, right? And they're like, this isn't heavy metal. This is like nice. Like Ozzy Osbourne's pretty nice and calm. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll just, yeah. He's never said or done anything that would be offensive to parents. Sure. And then I think, I know my mom watched it. I never really got into it, the reality show thing, but my mom was keeping up with the Osbournes, the TV show in 2002, and she was cringing a little bit at the nonstop bleeping, but you could tell even through the nonstop F off, F off, F off, F off, that they were a good family. They are a good family. They are a good family. They take care of each other. Like, they look after one another. I just watched a compilation on YouTube of Ozzy like giving good advice to his children, and even like being the responsible parent. Like, there's nobody more responsible than somebody who's been irresponsible in the 70s or 80s, right? Like, there was many times where he's like, no, I did that. Don't do that. There was a part he took like a giant firework explosive thing from Jack, and he's like, they were on a boat, and he just said, throw it away. Like, he saw how big it was. It was like a bomb. And Ozzy said, listen, just throw it off the boat. And that would be me. That would be me with my son. If he pulled out a firecracker that was like the size of Iowa, I'd be like, dude, can you just throw that in the ocean? Because I know this is going to be bad. Like, you're going to blow the boat up. You're going to kill a trillion whales. Just throw it in the ocean. And Ozzy, that's so smart. One of the wildest dudes in rock and roll. And he's like, dude, don't do that. That's not smart. There was a really cool scene where Kelly got a tattoo, and it was so funny that Ozzy was upset, and she's like, "Well, you're not going to tell Mom." And he's like, "I have to. I'm going to call her." Ozzy was doing the right thing by his kids. I mean, I can't speak to 24/7, but he was a good dad. From what I saw in the Osbournes, he was a good dad. And people give Sharon a hard time. But you know what? She stood by him through a lot. She stood by him when he was not such a good guy. She stayed, and I'm aware that it was like a business thing, and I think she did. I think she tried to do the best for Ozzy. I did not want to, like yesterday, I thought about doing like an album ranking or my top 10 Ozzy songs. And that's in the playlist. It just didn't feel right to do those kind of videos right now. This is a bigger deal than, I don't want to say it's a bigger deal than someone else. But this is just one of those rock stars that like I'm crying just thinking about it. But I love that he had such, it feels like everything kind of happened perfectly. Like I'm happy for him that things kind of worked out, right? Because we all are going to go through this. And it's very rare for a person to get to do the things they want to do before they die, to be in the right place before they die, to be surrounded by friends and family before they die, to reconcile old relationships before they die. And again, going back to Sharon, it seems like she made sure that he had all of that. The past was forgiven. He got to go out and do what he loved one last time. I know Ozzy had talked about, and it's a little bit rough to talk about, but he had kind of talked, I remember it stayed with me. He wanted to die on stage. He wanted to die doing what he loved. And while that didn't quite happen, it happened in a better way, right? He got to do what he loved. He got to perform solo. He got to perform with his band. And then he got to go home. He got to be with his family. And there was a lot of that to the kind of the speculation around Back to the Beginning. Like, people were critical of it. They're like, no, Ozzy's not going to sing that much. He's only going to sing a line or two. He's always going to maybe sing one or two words. This is weird. But looking back on it now, I think they probably realized that, like, hey, we need to do this ASAP. I know that there was some talk of, like, they probably knew, like his doctors probably told him, hey, it's going to be soon. And I don't know that that's true or not, but that's kind of what we're thinking, like why Back to the Beginning got put together so quickly, and it was so epic, and it's one of the most successful charity concerts of all time, is what I'm hearing. If nobody else knew, I think Ozzy himself knew, and I'm pretty sure Sharon was aware. I'm pretty sure they had some pretty frank and honest discussions with each other about those kinds of things. And it just went off without a hitch, you know. I mean, there were some complaints about some things, but come on. It was as good as it could have been. It was perfect. And I still need to go through. I haven't seen the entirety of it. I've seen most of the performances. There's a few things that I need to track down on the internet. But I'm just really upset. I'm really upset, and I hate that I'm feeling like this is corny or stupid to be this upset about it. because I feel like they said, like with the Osbournes, we feel like we knew him. And like I said, I'm almost 40, and it's just there's always been an Ozzy. I'm like waiting for him to come back. If that sounds stupid too, but I'm waiting for him to come back. Right, just and that's another thing too. So many of his songs deal with death. I was feeling all weird about some of my song selections. I'm like, oh no, this song is about this. Oh, maybe I shouldn't put this track in there. Oh no, that one's Under the Graveyard. But this one has gotten to me big time. Chester Bennington was a huge one. Chris Cornell. This is bad. It's like I said, it happened. He lived a great life, and it sounds like he was pretty happy with his life when he died. He accomplished a lot. I don't know how many millions of records he sold, but he was the freaking lead singer and harmonica player of Black Sabbath, who is the metal band. I think what Metallica said, who else is it? It isn't anybody else. He had a TV show, which on the clips I was watching of the Osbournes, said it was like Thriller times 10,000 or something. The success of the Osbournes. So he was a TV hit. He was in a band. He went solo. His harmonica playing was just way better than mine. I know there's numbers on here, and it's extremely complicated. He swore that he couldn't play guitar, but Jack says that he's heard Ozzy play guitar before. So it might be like on the level. Maybe he was on like my level. Probably Ozzy was probably better at guitar than me. But he never publicly played guitar. But Jack says that he's heard him do some noodling. And I don't know, maybe later on I'll do an album ranking, or you guys can let me know what other kind of Ozzy Osbourne content you want, because right now it just doesn't feel right to do an album ranking or review or anything like that. But what else do I have to say about Ozzy Osbourne? I don't want to say any of the stuff that anybody else has already said, right? It's Back to the Beginning was really epic. It was really awesome. I'm glad that he was able to do that. And he's definitely made a huge impact on my life. I know as a Green Day fan, it definitely made a huge impact. The ripple effect through, Green Day were originally Billy Joe and Mike Dirnt were heavily inspired by Black Sabbath and Crazy Train and Ozzy Osbourne's early solo records. And they were originally going to go down that road. And then they got involved in the Gilman Street punk scene, and everything changed. But they could have easily went down the heavy metal path, and it would have been a very interesting world had Green Day went metal and Metallica went punk. That would have been a weird alternate universe. But Green Day always do a little bit of Iron Man and some other Ozzy songs occasionally at their shows. They almost always do Iron Man. But Ozzy Osbourne definitely had a major influence over the world. Like I said, people that don't even like music like Ozzy Osbourne. And I guess I'm gonna give you guys. I'll link the playlist for you guys to see my favorite Ozzy Osbourne tracks. I've been listening to a crap ton of Ozzy and Black Sabbath lately, and I don't know. Just sound off in the comments about your favorite Ozzy Osbourne albums or songs or top 10, whatever, and I will. And that's the video.